All right, it's 5 o'clock. I'd like to call to order this special meeting of the Bandera Economic Development Corporation, Thursday, June 17th at 5 p.m. First up is visitors be heard.
Is it necessary?
Janice Allen.
If you'd like to skip.
I can state the obvious, but I guess somebody has to. Yeah, well, Cowboys, I don't think there's anybody here that misunderstands the value of it. Kelly Scott and Wes Hatcher and Dakota, they're Bandera. And Bandera Cattle Company, of course, I don't know how many know this, but we are actually the official gunfighters for the city. And we have badges to prove it, right? Well, we all know why people come to Banderas to see the Old West, right? And what is it with Longhorns, chuck wagon going up down Main Street and people killing each other? I mean, what more is it? The biggest thing for us, I think, and Tommy will correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure, is that the kids. There's very little for the families, attraction for the kids and families to go to. They come to our shows, they get the ice cream card, they get the membership card, they get a badge, they get sworn in. If they have a gun with them, they get a gunfight with me. I always lose. So it's just, and the EDC's economic development, bringing people in, I think for the amount it costs to get us all to be there, it's really cheap. And our expenses are high. So we don't do it for the money, that's for sure. We just try to keep our nose above water. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Patricia Moore.
I'm going to stand up and speak, and I'm basically Cindy Beckham, because she had already planned for a vacation. Months ago, she is in Galveston, and she asked if I would speak. And it basically says what Dennis does, what he said. But as the BBA president, I, Cindy Beckham, my focus is supporting our community and the Cowboys on Main. We're here requesting EDC funding for the current fiscal year in the amount of $10,000 once again. This year we have already spent over $11,500 for Cowboys on Main. And there are still over 3 months to go, along with special events coming up. A potential for additional expenses of $9,000 or more. I feel it's important for everyone to realize that weather permitting, the Cowboys on Main are here almost every Saturday, representing our cowboy tradition for all of Bandera's visitors. This is not a one-time event for the entire year, but performances that happen weekly with a dedicated group of cowboys who strive to carry on a tradition that has continued for decades. People from all over the world visit Bandera and ask where to see the gunfights and cowboys, and when are they performing again. They definitely influence many to visit our town and to stay in our county. I invite the Cowboys and any attending guests to comment regarding the need to continue this tradition and to keep Bandera the cowboy capital of the world. Again, thank you everyone for all you do. Cindy Beckham. Now, I'll speak as Patricia Moore and just reiterate what Dennis says. On average, for the whole year, I would say we get a minimum of 4 phone calls inquiring if the Cowboys are going to be performing. And oftentimes on Saturdays, people walk in and want to know where the shows are. And God forbid when they have changed their times to 11 to 1 from 10 to whatever it was, to whatever, it takes adjustment time for the public to know, because we'll have people walk in and go, but they just drove in from San Antonio or from wherever. It does bring people to town. It's obvious. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's our next speaker?
Roy DeGosh.
Very good. Roy Dugosh.
Thank you. Thank you, Roy Dugosh, longtime resident of Bandera. That's my picture of my family on the wall right there. That's the Dugoshes. So we've been here since time began, way back in the 1800s. I'm very proud of Bandera. I'm very proud of what we do. I've been in the Historical Commission 10 years, chairman. I've been with the Sister City program for 15 years. I've made multiple trips to Europe, the Polish area, the German area, the Czech area, the French area. I can tell you, when we wear our cowboy hats, we're noticed, okay? It's a big calling card. When we set up our sister city, that was what really launched it and actually helped the region in Poland because they were sister cities to Bandera, Texas. And then by being Bandera, Texas, we got a Ukrainian sister partnership because their hero is named Bandera. Anyway, it's very interesting, and the cowboy sells, it sells good, and it sells a lot. They can tell you that whenever we have a gunfight, we have people from all over the world that take our pictures and go home with them. And they learn us that way. They hear about us. We spend a lot of times in the Historical Commission making Bandera officially, through the Historical Commission, the cowboy capital of the world. You Google it, it comes up. Everybody else falls short. Stephenville, everybody, they fall short. They can't match us because we got it locked in through the state of Texas and through the U.S. Congress. We're also the trailhead of the Great Western Cattle Trail, and we're also the trick and roping capital of Texas. All of those involve cowboys. So Cowboys in Maine is a very important asset. Like I say, we work every weekend 4 hours. We pay our own bills, we buy our own clothes, we get a little bit of money to sustain us, on what we do, but we enjoy it. Our hearts are in it, and we hope that your hearts are too, and that you will support us. Thank you very much, and thank you for the work you do. The sculpture in the center of town, that's EDC. Of the Bronco Buster, that was $16,000 well spent. That picture goes all over the world. That's what we want. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And we have groupies too.
Yes, they do.
All right, do we have anybody else?
No.
Okay. Next agenda item is discussion and possible action on the following. Removing Jay Horry and Elizabeth Lee Carell from the signature cards at Bandera Bank. Yes.
I make a motion that we remove Jay Horry and Elizabeth Lee Carell from the signature cards at Bandera.
Okay. Tony seconds. Any discussion? All right, all in favor? All in favor, none opposed. 3B, adding 3 EDC members as signers on Bandera Bank signature card. Yes.
Make a motion that we add new members to the signature card at Bandera Bank so we can pay our bills.
I second that motion.
Okay, Lauren seconds. Any discussion?
So when how do we pay
Pass.
payments?
So-
Open up the.
So what I would like to see,
So in the past, it's never been the president, just an FYI. And I don't know if that's in the actual bylaws or if that's in the state statute or just something we've always done. And also because it requires, most of our checks require 2 signatures, we do have the city secretary as one, the mayor is one as the mayor. I believe they're still in the signature cards. And so those 2 are typically around City Hall. And so you might want to think about considering other people in here that would be accessible to sign checks, because that's really what this is for.
I would like to see every member of the EDC on the signature card. That way, there's always, out of the 6 of us present right now, and hopefully if we get a 7th board member, there's always at least someone out of 6 or 7 that would be available to sign at any time. I'd like to cut as much bureaucratic red tape as possible and make it easier for people to get money in a timely manner when things like this happen. So,
Is there a limit, do you know?
The card only has 3 spaces, but I don't know why we couldn't put a second card attached.
Get an extra card.
The bank will usually do that. There's a separate
Yes.
card that they will attach to it, yes.
So,
I like that suggestion, Jared.
okay. Yes, Tony,
I'd like to make a motion. Oh, wait, we already
we've got a motion on the table.
And mine did not put a
So you,
number.
I know, but you can amend it yours,
Okay.
so we'll go with
I
that route.
will amend my motion to include all board members.
Okay.
I will second the amendment.
Tony seconds that. Any more discussion? All in favor? All in favor, none opposed. All right. Item number 4, discussion and possible action on the following 4A Cowboys on Main. Before we get into this, I would like to formally issue an apology to Cowboys on Main for, I don't know why y'all were not on the last agenda for action. I have your application in my binder that was marked May 22nd and initials on it. I really don't know what happened, but as far as I'm concerned, that's there's no reason for that or excuse for that. So you have my formal apology, and from that, can we get a motion? Their application is in y'all's packet. They're asking for $10,000. You've heard from them. Heard them a couple of times speak now. They pay for most of this out of pocket. A large portion of this covers their blank ammunition. And a lot of them do this for pennies on the dollar to come out and have fun and represent what Bandera means. So, yes, Laura.
I'd like to make a motion to approve $10,000 for Cowboys on Main.
Second. Okay. Alan seconds. Any discussion?
So do we, I did calculations based on the figures we had last week, and we had about 14,000 left, and I had made, so is that accurate? So we had so the future applications that would come in, we'd have $4,000 left, approximately.
Approximately.
Okay.
Mhm.
I think there may only be one.
Okay, I just know that.
Two
And
of
keep
those.
it keep in mind this is
I was gonna work
for
with Karina to reach out, but I mean, if
We've already.
Okay, very good.
and keep in mind this is for fiscal year 2021,
Right,
which is over September 30th.
right,
So
true.
we've only got a couple months left. So
Good point, very good, yeah, good.
any other discussion? Okay, all in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Next item, number 5, discussion and possible action on presentation from Neffendorf and Blocker, which did our independent audit.
Annual audit. Thank you. Everybody got a copy now?
Y'all got it.
Got your copies, all right. Cure for insomnia. You need to read it. Take it by your bed and read it 30 minutes every night and cure the insomnia. Anyway, I don't know, am I supposed to stand up, sit down, or what is the rules here?
Whatever you're most
Whatever.
comfortable with,
Okay,
sir.
I'll sit down, man, I'm old.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm Keith Neffendorf with Neffendorf and Blocker out of Fredericksburg. This is Haley Blocker. She's the Blocker out of Fredericksburg. We did the audit for the Economic Development Corporation. And for you people that are new and don't understand, the Economic Development Corporation is a component unit of the city. What does that mean? Y'all are appointed by the city. Y'all adopt a separate budget and tax rate, which is approved by the city. And your audit and your numbers are included in the city's annual audit report. So the time we do the city audit, we also have to do the audit of the Economic Development Corporation. The audit itself is a good audit report. The financial numbers I'll go through and hit a few highlights. If at any time you have any questions, you stop and ask me. After the table of contents on pages 1 and 2 is the independent audit report. This states we made an audit of the financial statements of the Bandera Economic Development Corporation, a component unit of the city of Bandera, as of for the year ending September 30th, 2020. Page 2. In our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly the financial position of the Economic Development Corporation as of September 30th, 2020, and changes in financial position for the year that ended. This is the standard auditor's clean opinion letter. Top of the line, what everybody strives for. The next section, management's discussion and analysis. Under governmental auditing standards, we are required to give a narrative highlight and give condensed financial statements. That's called the management discussion and analysis. It's labeled unaudited. We're not required to audit it. We take your numbers and put them into this canned version that shows these condensed financial statements. It's good, real good for your readers. But since I'm here, I'll go directly to the financial statements themselves, starting on page 7. Of course, the Economic Development Corporation has only one fund, the general fund. And the way this works is, the first column there is the general fund. That's your fund accounting numbers, showing your cash, investments, total assets $467,726, accounts payable of $650, so you had a restricted fund balance $467,076. We have to adjust under the governmental accounting auditing standards to a GASB 34, which is like a business type model, and that's labeled statement of net position. And the adjustments column shows how we get from your fund financial statements to the GASB 34. And of course you can see in y'all's case, the items that are included are your capital assets minus your cumulative depreciation, and then recording of your long-term debt. So those adjustments then get to the statement of net position, where you now have under the total assets of $1,013,158, liabilities including your long-term debt of $123,650, to a net position of $889,508. So in both cases, the EDC was still had some fund balances, adequate fund balances, and net position. Page 8 just shows the detailed adjustments that are made to get from the governmental to the GASB 34, showing the capital assets, and then you subtract off the balance payable. Page 9 is the revenues and expenditures, and it's converted to the same thing as GASB 34. Net profit or loss. You can see the general fund that the total expenditures were $310,204. The revenues from sales tax and interest, $326,622. So you had a net excess for the year $16,418. To convert that to the GASB 34 numbers on the adjustment columns, principal paid on debt, of course, is not expense. And then you add back the accrual of the interest and your depreciation expense on your capital assets. Those are the two adjustments in the adjustment column. So you can see from GASB 34, the total expenses were $233,946. The revenue stayed the same at $326,622. So your profit under GASB 34 was $92,676. That just shows you how you convert from fund to GASB 34 accounting. Finally, the notes. These just give additional disclosures to the financial statements themselves. They either give you further details or explanations of accounts that are used in the financial statements. The items I need to point out start on page 13. Even though you're not a governmental unit, you are a component unit of the city, and therefore corporation has to comply with the Public Funds Investment Act concerning bank accounts and temporary investments. In other words, any monies you have at the bank that exceed the $250,000 that's covered by the FDIC insurance, you have to get them to pledge collateral to cover those balances. And so you can see there, we disclosed that in that amount. In the year bank balance, you had the FDIC insurance and or pledge collateral. And of course, then after that, your temporary investment, your CD at the Bandera Bank was covered by the FDIC insurance. So in both cases, you were in accordance with that public funds. The other notes on page 14 just shows your capital assets. There were no changes in the recorded depreciation expense of $6,352. The next note on long-term debt shows your two items, the bonds payable. The EDC was paying a portion of the city's refunding obligation bonds, and that the remaining balance was paid off, $42,500, and so that closes out. That's all you have. Your obligation with the city for those refunding bonds is over. Then you had entered into an agreement with JW Land Development, and you agreed to pay them $41,000, and you can see that was paid last year, and so that reduced that amount outstanding to $123,000. And so that right after that, it shows the schedule for the next three years. You'll pay the $41,000 in accordance with that agreement. After that, the notes, the required supplemental statement on page 16. And this is the key statement for the board, because it gives you a summary of your results from your budget to your actual. So you can see how you did in comparison to your budget. Revenue side, you had budgeted $289,600. You actually collected $326,622, so you had a favorable variance of $37,000 to the budget. The expenditure side, you budgeted $482,806. You actually spent $310,204, so we had a favorable variance of $172,000. So overall, you had planned a deficit for the year of $193,206. It actually was a positive $16,418. So you can see in both cases, you had positive variances to the budget. Then finally, in the back, you have your separate letter. We, as the independent auditor, are required to provide to you, the governing body of the Economic Development Corporation, these items that are listed in this letter. Significant audit matters, of course, there were none. There were no new adopted governmental accounting standards, so we have already complied with all those governmental accounting standards. There were no difficulties encountered performing the audit, no correct or uncorrected misstatements, and no other disagreements with management or other consultations or required findings. The bottom of the page, or about halfway down, we give our list of recommendations. These are recommendations to the improvements of the records. And the first one under cash receipts and disbursements. The cash account transactions were posted when you received the bank statements, when the checks or deposits cleared the bank rather than when they were written. So we recommend that the EDC start recording the receipts and disbursements as they occur and then reconcile to the bank at the end of each month. And the same way right after that on the bank reconciliations. The bank reconciliation during the year did not agree with the general ledger, and we recommend that the balances each month be agreed to the general ledger. And as each month, on a monthly basis now, we recommend that the bookkeeper provide to y'all in your packets a copy of a reconciled bank account and a budget to actual comparison for your review and approval. And she said she could do it. She's going to start doing it. You okay? Any questions? Sure.
Page 14, second paragraph, the last sentence.
It should say that was paid. It's not the remaining balance. That was what was paid in the quarter.
Very good, thank you. So paid toward the remaining
Yeah, y'all
balance.
received that, and then those were written off
Yeah.
this year. They're no longer outstanding.
These were written off this year?
In 20.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a paragraph that is from the page right before it. It says there was 2 notes were written off.
Interesting. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions from the board? Okay. First off, thank you all for being here.
Sure.
Do we need a motion to accept the audit file?
Well, I was going to ask some questions really quick, but.
Okay.
All right, was there anything in your audit that raised any eyebrows? Anything that wasn't being done correctly? Anything?
Well, yeah, I mean, we had to go back. There was a period of time where there was basically no accounting records. And so all this stuff was done basically after year end and assembled. And that's why you got these recommendations about getting on top of it and staying with it on a monthly basis. I mean, I don't even know what, for how long a period of time you all didn't even see financial information. And you can't operate like that. I mean, yeah, I mean, we'll tell it like it is. I mean, it was bad. There was no records, there was no records kept.
Our board was destroyed.
Right,
mid-year.
yeah, right.
It was.
And so this was done after the fact, and it took a while, and it was by many telephone calls and keeping after them, and God bless her, she
Yeah,
had to
she
go
did a really good job.
and dig documents up from different sources. So we were able to even get to this point. It was a struggle.
Absolutely.
But hopefully she's here now, seems to be working, and hopefully we can keep it going and going forward. That's why our recommendations were strong, and you get, the board, it's your fiduciary responsibility from a financial end to at least somebody look and see that your banks are reconciled and you're getting some kind of reports.
Absolutely.
And if you're not, you better start asking real quick.
All right, on the
Because I
recommend.
mean, on
Preaching to the
the
choir, all of us.
Because
are-
yeah,
Right.
right.
We're back.
Yeah, well,
I mean, basically all new.
yeah, well, I don't care.
Right.
Yeah.
On-
I knew
I'm
you
tired
guys- yeah.
of being used as an excuse.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
you do anything, you know that you should be at least seeing financial reports. And if you don't, then you should start asking questions. I
Now,
don't care if
on,
you're new or old. I'm old. But I know I want to see them. I'm not going to believe anything that somebody says, "Oh yeah, we got 100,000 in the bank." But where is it? What is it in?
on the
But I
second.
mean, but you know what I'm saying here is, you've got a fiduciary responsibility.
Mhm.
And so to meet that, you've got to have at least a minimum, the financial accounting and the reporting, so you can at least see what's going on.
Absolutely.
And we think we've got, with her, we've got a person that can do that and keep it going for y'all.
Now, on the second recommendation, first sentence, the bank reconciliations reconciled balance did not agree with the general ledger. Is that referring to exactly what you were just talking about, or was that
Yeah.
something?
Correct.
Okay.
And that's what, when y'all get those monthly, make sure the reconciled balance should tie to what's on your trial balance that you're getting, your reports.
Absolutely.
If you see cash in bank at 160,000, you should see the bank statement with the reconciliation that takes that bank balance that's 200,000 and shows you the outstanding checks to get to that 160,000.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
brief wave tops on this. Is there anything that you saw that would raise eyebrows towards fraud, misappropriation, or anything else going on?
Basically, no, but once again, our job as independent auditor, we're not required to look for fraud. If we find fraud, we're required to report it,
Absolutely.
okay? But that doesn't mean that we didn't test it. You know what out of it because of
The state it was in.
the state of the records, and that's why she had to dig up a lot of documents. So the document, so I will preface that also by saying by the documents we saw. Okay?
Perfect. Does anybody else have any questions?
Thank you very much.
So do we.
Thank you, Karina.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you all.
She really did a good job.
Yes, she was very helpful in getting up.
Yes.
I make a motion that we accept the audit.
Second.
Alan seconds. Any discussion? All in favor? All in favor, none opposed? All right. Any other items? Yes, Laura.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second that.
Christine, seconds. Any discussion? All right, all in favor? All in favor, none opposed. Adjourned at 5:30.